Welcome to COG Connect Forum, the program that brings to you fresh insights, fresh informations that you can use to change the narrative of your business. On the program, we have regular guests that brings his experience to bear on how you can take advantage of the happenings, take advantage of the statistics, take advantage of the information that he has used in his own business, bringing it to you so that you can adapt those same information and grow your business. Don't forget, this program is powered by G Consulting International Services, one of the fastest growing company in Nigeria and across Africa. They are available to offer you different services as it has to do with growing your business, ranging from microfinance training, ranging from capacity building, ranging from leadership and management training, ranging from procurement services, ranging from different services that you can rely on to actually grow your business. So on the program today, don't go anywhere. Sit back, share this video on this platform, invite your friends and your families, and let them tap into the information that will be shared on the program today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our guest. Welcome back to COG Connect Forum. On the studio this day, we have the GMD, G Consulting International Services, Mr. Godfrey Ajayi-Sunday.
Yeah, Mr. Yasai Lume, let's appreciate it again for the opportunity today again to be at the studio to look at the real issues.
Yes.
Nations are having problem. People talk about the Venezuela example, that we don't want Nigeria to be like
at all
Venezuela, where their inflationary rates grew more than 100%.
Yes.
And today, Argentina has overtaken them. There is a dollar bust in Egypt. So all these issues we want to talk about, specifically as it relates to Nigeria and the issues that we're having. So those are what I think we should look at today.
Yes.
With a view of looking at long-term solutions so that our MSMEs can be able to play and would be still be in business.
It's very important that MSMEs remain in business. Unfortunately, what is happening across the country is the erosion of MSMEs. You go to hotels, you go to business centers, you see businesses dying. And one of the key issues, sir, is the issue of security. Businesses cannot thrive in the face of insecurity. First, what are the issues that are making this security to be a lasting problem, as it were?
Okay, so insecurity, vis-a-vis security, is a critical issue because, again, as an entrepreneur,
yes,
as a business owner, I mean, if you're not secure, there is no way
you can't think of business.
You can do business. And looking at the history, especially as it has to do with Nigeria, because I believe that every nation have their own challenges.
That's
okay,
true.
so if we go back to the era of Maitasine, okay, so remember that was when Buhari was the military head of state. The insecurity around that time was built around ideology. Okay, some people believe that some religion should overwhelm the other religion.
Yeah.
And Buhari, being the military head of state that time, came in hard on them and was able to quell them. Okay, so fast track, we now went from Maitasine to the issue of Boko Haram. That was the early days of, or the tail end before the death of Yaradua, when some people now said, okay, it was also ideology based, saying that, look, they don't want people to go to school. And there was an unfortunate killing of the leader of the Boko Haram. And that created insecurity. And fortunately or unfortunately, Goodluck came into government, okay, and inherited that challenge. And that challenge took us a number of time and took over most of the states in Nigeria. So the reason we're trying to x-ray some of these things so that we know where we are coming from and see how we can deal with all this issue. Okay, so you can see that in the days of Buhari, he was dealing with the issue of Boko Haram. Then banditry came into the equation. okay, where you have issues of mass attack. Don't forget that during the time of Goodluck, there was that bomb blast.
Yes.
Where at every point in time, mostly on Sunday, people were always scared because a bomb was going to erupt somewhere. There was a bomb in Catholic Church. There was a bomb in the UNDP house. Also, all this creates instability in the polity that would not enable the MSME to thrive. Then from Boko Haram, from Maitasine to Boko Haram to banditry, now we have a new president. And the issue we're dealing with now is majorly the issue of kidnapping. And how does it play? You have a situation where people in the comfort of your home, in an estate, in the night, somebody comes to kidnap you.
They just pick you.
Okay? You are traveling on the highway. You are being kidnapped. So that is where we are now. So from the issue of ideology to the issue of commercialization.
So it's become an economic issue?
Yes, it has become an economic issue now where people kidnap for money. So how do we deal with all these issues so that our businesses could thrive? That's what I need us to possibly talk about today. So having looked at the history of the trajectory of insecurity in Nigeria and vis-a-vis in other parts of the world, then how do we now deal with them? So that's what I need us to probably look at so that our MSME could have a settled mind to be able to do their business as it ought to be done. And of course, maybe we'll talk about technology.
Yeah, I think what you are saying is what we should be looking at, because everyone have a role to play. If we don't understand where we are coming from, we might not be able to understand where we are going. And so the way the insecurity or the security challenge has been commercialized, it requires innovative thinking, innovative solutions to bring about the change. And like you said, technology affords us that opportunity. But is the government really ready? Or as citizens, is there anything citizens can do, with technology to help, improve the situation?
Yeah, quite a number of things that they can do. The reason we try to look at the history where we're coming from is that, in whatever forms that insecurity happen, MSMEs will not be able to thrive.
Yes.
Because today, if you are going to be kidnapped, you may, we see what happens today. People open business late and they close early.
Yeah.
Okay, so the productive period being put into enterprise development is now very, very short. Okay, you see, by 4 p.m. you start talking to your neighbor. I hope you are on your way home. Hope you are, So, with the issue of technology, there has to be a handshake between government and the people. Okay, so number one way, it's by way of technology. The use of drones, I have, identified. They talk about state government with the fact that they are the chief security officer of the state. And the state governors are arguing that, it's like tying my two hands to the back and telling me what to do. So I want to tell the state government today, and indeed the federal government, very simple. The deployment of technology, such as drone, for example. Quite a number of insecurity has taken place around the Plateau area. So why won't a Plateau state government, for example, invest in the drone technology? Now we have a situation where there is an attack in a community and there is a call. Okay? Before the security men could respond, there is havoc already being created.
Yeah.
So if, for example, the Plateau state government, I'm using that for example, every other statement can take cue from that. If they invest in drone, for example, so that if there is an insecurity taking place in a particular community, you deploy the drone immediately to fly to that spot and begin to monitor what is happening and reporting real time. So here we will now be able to capture the faces of the people that are responsible for that. Because again, we're talking about unknown gunmen, unknown men. So all manner of lexicon has come into our equation. So today we are profiling one of the solutions to say, look, government, especially state government, should invest in technology so that drone, for example, where they can have a warehouse, a real live reporting scenario. Okay? So once there's that report, you fly the drone and the drone follows up and begin to do live recording of activities and reporting back. Here you can see the people involved. Okay? So one of the other things I think I should do, which I think you know about, is we're saying that the commercial plazas, all the commercial properties in Nigeria, there should be a law mandating them to have CCTV
cameras.
Okay? Yeah. So and I think you know quite a bit about this as a way of solving this problem.
Yes. Yeah, I think, it's also bands together with the technology that you just pointed out. CCTV camera is something that ordinarily, now, they don't need to be a law. And this speaks to our own responsibility as citizens, because we must come to that point where we know and we agree that government alone cannot solve this problem for us. And so for somebody that have up to 500 million naira, 1 billion naira, 300 million naira to put up a plaza, for example, I see no reason why you cannot afford to spend 5 million naira, 3 million naira, or even 10 million naira.
It doesn't have to get up to that.
You don't have to get up to that.
Okay.
To install CCTV camera in that location. And the truth of the matter is that if we have CCTV camera in your left-hand side, installing, plazas in your left-hand side, installing CCTV cameras, and plaza in your right-hand side, before you know it, the whole community is covered, at least within that environment. It's covered. Yeah,
the reason I'm mentioning law is that so that it becomes mandatory for you to be able to provide the footage if an event takes place around your property.
Yes.
Okay?
Because that issue is there also as well. Because even when you put there and somebody comes and say, give it to me, you need to know who are you permitted to release those footages to.
So that's why I said there should be a law
mandating
that every commercial property, you have put a value to it now to say, look, every property above 5 million, for example, should have a commercial, should have a CCTV that you should be able to report in case an incident took place on your property. You are mandated by law to provide the footage. So with that, if these bandits, if all these kidnappers, if they understand that you are tracking them, okay, they would retreat. Okay, but today, an incident happened, and at the end of the day, nobody is able to track anybody. Unknown gunmen.
The thing is that it happens and nothing happens. It happens and things just continue as if there was nothing that ever happened in the first place. Okay. We can't continue as a people like that. So
we're talking about drone now. We're talking about the use of this thing. One of the other solutions I'm thinking about is about capital punishment.
Yeah, because you talk about law, that was where my mind went to. That, of course, some persons might say we have a lot of laws. Even the capital punishment is entrenched in our laws because we have not been able to abolish it.
No, I'm even trying to marry it now to the kidnapping that is currently going on.
So,
as a young man, the last time I heard about kidnapping was in James Hadley Chase. But today, I'm not reading about it.
No, it's
feeling
real.
it.
It's real.
I'm feeling it. So if there is capital punishment, the law, if there was a law, repeal it and renew it to say, look, for every kidnapping, once you are caught, it's by death sentence. And politicians should stop, playing with the life of the people. During the era of military, if you partake in armed robbery, you are executed publicly. Yes. You remember in those days,
the days of Anini,
where they would tie you to the stake and
shoot you.
And shoot you. So that law should come, and that's the kind of law that help countries like China today, where you partake in corruption and you are found guilty. You'll be executed.
You'll be executed without delay. For me, sir, it's not that the law is not there. There is a concept, a theory, the deterrence mechanism theory.
Okay.
It posits that if someone, that everybody have this desire to do whatever he or she likes, and this desire sometimes can be evil. Now, what makes people to restrain themselves from doing that evil desire that comes to them is the deterrence, is the fear that there is a mechanism in place that if they do this thing that is evil, that is wrong, they will be punished.
Yeah. So, and that's why, the civil society, they are doing quite well. You have someone like Falana today going to court and say, look, on cost control, government is mandated to do that. And he's gotten a judgment to that effect. So what that means is that if we have a law and somebody commits banditry, you can go to court and mandate government to say, look, this person must be prosecuted. Okay? We've been able to identify the person by way of maybe drone or by way of CCTV.
Yeah.
This is live. Thank God for social media today. You can't do anything again now. Your green barrel goes somewhere. The next thing you are seeing it on the social media. So that's what we're saying. If you deploy drone, you deploy CCTV camera, and we have images of these people. The next thing is for somebody to go to court to say, look, for this incident that happened, these are the people behind it. And these people, there's a law that says that they must be punished.
They must be prosecuted
by will. Yeah. So that's what we are.
I think you have a new context to it.
Yeah.
You have just added a new thing to it, which is, giving people, individuals or people within that environment, the local standing to be able to argue in court that these people, because one thing we know in court or in law is that there is a way a case is situated, and you'll be, if you want to move forward, if you want to intervene in that matter, you'll be asked of
evidence.
Where is your local standing? You don't have that local standing because perhaps the law does not give you that right, to prosecute that case.
There's a law now saying that all commercial properties must have CCTV.
Yes.
So the law now, there's a law saying that, I'm asking that there should be a law like that.
Yes.
So when you go to court, you now mandate that this incident took place around this area. So the people around that area are mandated to bring the footage of what happened.
Exactly.
So that we can see the people behind. And we're saying, because we have those images now, these are the people responding. The security agents must produce these people or declare them wanted, or alternatively prosecute them at the end of the day.
Yes.
Then, of course, we move on to the issue of cashless society. Emefiele has done us a lot of wrong.
Yes.
But if we go back to look at cashless society, I remember in the era, when cashless society was first of all made available, the first pronouncement was to say, bandits then and kidnappers started bringing out the money that they had in their custody because they couldn't use it.
Couldn't use them.
Okay, so what we are saying is that let cashless society come back again.
Implemented.
Okay, let it come back again so that let's be minimal use
of cash.
Now, and they're using the slogans to raise money for MSME, to raise money for bandits now. They are talking about how they call
angel investors.
No, not angel investors, where you go to internet to raise money to be able to
crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding. Crowdfunding ordinarily is to raise money to grow businesses.
Exactly.
But you are now raising money to free people.
Rescue people from the hands of kidnappers.
So we must go back to that cashless society and put time frame that we're in 2024 today, that in the next 1 year, we should be able to go cashless. Okay? Once you go cashless, the bandits they cannot receive cash again.
According to what their expectations.
Then you will see that some of these things will go down. So clearly, drone deployment, CCTV deployment, capital punishment, cashless society. If we implement this among other solutions that people have, then all these things will come down to a drastic end today. Because with insecurity, there is no way, sir, you can do business.
There is no way. There's absolutely no way. The thing is, sir, if you go across the communities, you see businesses shutting down
as a result of insecurity.
On a daily basis. People are scared.
Farmers cannot go to farm.
You understand?
In those days, you go do a beautiful training on how you can use good agronomic practice to be able to enhance your productivity. And the man asking you a question, Oga, if I go to the farm and get kidnapped, then how do we solve this problem? So, at the bottom line is insecurity today, in today's Nigeria, in today's situation. And we're not just mentioning it. We talked about the history. We're now giving the government 4 major ways to address this,
they can use to address
this problem.
So I think it all boils down to the level of seriousness, if I may use that word, that the government is showing. Because, most of all these things you are saying, we're not seeing government making any step in this direction. All right? For instance, the security architecture is still the way they are. We have not seen any shaking of the security architecture since this government came in. We have not seen any major reshufflement, on the security front. We are not also seeing any major introduction of maybe any law or policy, directive that is geared towards handling this insecurity in the country.
Look at what happened there in Liberia.
Yes.
The government in Liberia is just 20 days old. The chief of general staff, defense staff, was appointed 10 days ago. 2 days ago, that's like 8 days in government, the women protested. The wives of the military
officers
protested that they don't want that man, that the kind of policy that's rolled out in the last 8 days will not help. What did the man do? The man resigned.
Can you imagine that? Can you just beat that? But let's come back to the other issue, because Nigeria seems to be having a lot of challenges that we're grappling with at the same time. Today, dollar is over 1,500 naira.
Wow.
What is the solution?
Wow. Well, there are 3 solutions.
Okay.
Number 1 is production. Number 2 is more production. And number 3 is continuous production. Okay? So, I mean, China at a point in time had to lock the economy.
Yes.
Okay? If you go back and look at the ruler that you used in 1960, it's written there, made in China. In those days, China closed their economy to do production. And when they produce to satisfy the local market, they now open up the economy. So for us to solve the problem of the exchange rate today that has been on the increase, okay? Because once government follow this channel, they solve the insecurity problem, then the next problem that is going to confront you is the problem of the foreign exchange, which is, I mean, in the last, since May, it's moved from about 800 to 1,500. That's like doubling. So what that resulted to that every other thing doubled. So we must go back to the drawing board, which has to do with production, more production, and continuous production. And this time around, the MSMEs has to be involved. MSME now has to do with both the farmers, the small-scale producers, the artisans, okay, doing what they know best. And this government has not visited China, but I see them visiting China very soon, because the Goodluck regime took an aircraft and flew an aircraft full of people to China. Buhari did the same thing. During the Buhari regime, they talk about the yenization of our currency. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. Let me tell you how that will benefit us. Today, the population of India is about to overtake the population of China. That means they did something deliberately to be able to hurt their population, to be able to produce enough to satisfy them. But again, China requires countries like Nigeria to be able to produce for themselves, and for them to also to be able to produce for people like China, because China is battling with feeding its population. So China today has large capacity for machineries. We have a potential for production of food and other related items. So why can't we have a handshake with China? We say, look, we'll produce you cassava chips that is at the base of every animal production, animal feed. Okay? So we'll give you cassava chips to the standard at which you want it. Okay? Then give us machines. So I see a government being able to have a handshake with China to bring small-scale milling, small-scale factories, to flood the entire nations. I mean, we don't need more than 6 months, 1 year, sir, to change the dynamics, to be able to feed ourselves. What do I mean? We are still basically a rain-fed economy. Yeah. And rain will start falling from April. Okay? And most of these commodities, maize, rice, sorghum, they depend on rain, and it takes about 3 months. If you plant maize today, for example, in 3 months' time, maize is ready. Okay? So if we lock this economy to go into massive production of food in the next 6 months, then what are you going to have at the end of the day that will be abundant food? Having addressed the security problem that we mentioned earlier. So once you tackle that, then we capitalize on the rains that are coming now to make fertilizers available, to make agrochemicals available, to make a gap training available. Okay? Then it means that from April, May, June, July, or to October, we now have abundance of food. So what is the next challenge? We have food now. How do we add value to it? That's where the handshake with China comes in. So that handshake with China is saying, give us machine to be able to mill that cassava, to be able to mill that rice, to be able to, have a mixing machine that can mix cassava and maize together to produce that elubo that you so much cherish.
Yeah.
So we're saying that, look, government, talk to us, solve this insecurity problem. We've given you the formula. Now we're giving you the formula for production again. Then engage all the MSMEs, the artisans, engage them, and they will produce for you. And by December, everyone is smiling. Okay, we're experiencing Jackpot now. Then by December, you will start experiencing what is called Jackpot,
where people will now be coming back because the land is green. Now, these are wonderful ideas that I think, sitting here, we can tell that these are things that can change the situation where we find ourselves. But the problem still remains, what is the willingness of the government to engage?
Yeah.
You understand? As we speak, they are still focused on France, on Europe, and there seems not to be a solution coming from there. For instance, our crude oil is still being stolen in the sea, and we seem not to have a hand around stopping, because that is, for instance, the FS we're talking about is a function of how much we're able to earn. All right? Now, the crude oil, which is supposed to be our major foreign exchange earner, is being depleted by those that are stealing it. So how do we...
Yeah, that's why some people talk about the sincerity of government. Even though in most of my talk, I would rather prefer to advise the government. Yeah. Okay, so, it was mentioned that, look, refineries are not working. So we're lucky today. Dangote refinery...
It's coming on stream.
It's now... They're ready. They're ready. The aviation fuel is ready. The diesel that we talk about is ready. But some people are now predicting that the price will not come down. Okay? Then on top of this is our crude is still being stolen today on a daily basis.
On a daily basis?
Crude theft. And they were able to get a security company who is, ready to work, who is able to track, who has been able to deploy technology, and they are reporting live that, look, these people are very daring. They are very daring. They track vessels from across the world coming to steal crude from us. So, government, this one is